What's up, everybody? Bootsy Greenwood here, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit today about free will and determinism. Why neither is true, but also both are true. It's a bit of a paradox, admittedly, but that is described simply by the law of paradox from the Cultivating, which is a fascinating book about natural law. I recently had a chat with a gentleman named David Sherb. He goes by Asunder Monk on Instagram. We did an Instagram live. I tried to do a podcast with him, but we couldn't figure the tech out. We had an amazing conversation. He talked a lot about his background in Satanism, Luciferianism, Christianity, etc. And we talked a lot about particularly natural law, and that all of these teachings, all these ideas, generally speaking, come back to these natural law principles, which are found in this book, which is based on the Emerald Tablet of Hermes Trismegistus, which is like a lot of folklore and stuff, which is interesting to some, not important to others. I try to keep things as practical as possible, so I'm not really worried about the myth. What's more important to me is the fact that there are these natural law principles outlined in this book. And so I made a shorter version with a little bit of a synopsis, trying to simplify the concepts. And you can find that on my website. The audiobook will come out on July 4th. But one of the biggest ideas in the book is the law of paradox, along with the law of mental gender, which is something that we've talked a lot about on this channel, inadvertently through transurfing and magical practices. But what the Cultivating says is that free will isn't entirely true and determinism isn't entirely true. They're both half true. They're both true at the same time. The law of mental gender is taking the principle of gender and dividing that into soul and mind, just like the Transurfing book does, and many other esoteric books. Now, what's important about this is a big insight in how to choose. This is how we choose. We choose by distancing ourselves and separating our observer awareness in the law of mental gender from the experiencer awareness in the law of mental gender. So I'll give you a quick example here. So let's say that something happens to you and it is emotionally difficult to deal with, okay? So it's a pendulum. Essentially, a pendulum, gets its hook in, and so emotionally you have the ability to react to that in many ways. Now, if you don't have any sort of distance from the situation, if you don't have perspective and a more of an objective observer approach, then you're going to be stuck here at the base of the pendulum and you're going to swing wildly as a result. Now, this is being at the effect, which is another natural law that's in the Cultivating. We're being at the effect when we're sort of completely identified with our emotions and the experience that we're having. We're completely drawn into the play that is reality. Now, there's nothing wrong with feeling and experiencing everything that's going on around us. In fact, that's a good thing. We want to experience it. That's the gift of life. But in order to contextualize it properly and use it ultimately to our betterment, then what we want to do is we want to also allow ourselves the ability to have some perspective on it. It's like the higher we can sort of view what is happening, the more of a healthy distance that we have from what it is that we're experiencing emotionally, so that we can experience what it is that we're experiencing emotionally, but also have the presence of mind and the awareness to be able to say in the moment, okay, this is happening. I'm feeling all of this stuff. What am I going to do about it? Instead of just allowing us to go wherever the wind takes us. So on the one side, we've got determinism, which is very much down here as the participant. But as we climb higher and higher in the rungs of consciousness and able to observe, we get closer and closer to free will. And this is where free will is. It's higher up. It's higher up in the awareness of what's going on. So it's more at the observer level. And the more that we can allow our consciousness to rise up to that observer level and remember to activate our inner observer in our awareness, the more that we can actively choose in that moment. So one thing that I've been trying to do is be like, well, this, quote unquote, terrible thing happened. And I'm like, well, advantage, good thing, and it's not as easy done as you'd think. We're so ingrained to express distaste. If I drop a towel on the floor or whatever dumb thing, it's so easy for me to just that knee-jerk reaction. I'm trying to overcome that by putting more positive action on there, but sometimes that seems a little, as the kids say, delulu. So what I might recommend is, there was a guy who wrote a book called Thinking Neutral, Trevor Mawad. So at the very least, instead of being like, yay, I got fired, you'd be like, all right, I got fired. All right, you're having this experience. Yesterday I yelled into a pillow, guys. So let me just be clear. You're having the emotional experience. You're experiencing a challenge. You're having a reaction to something that is very real in terms, right? But as we expand our consciousness, that's why like the definition of comedy is tragedy plus time, because it gives us the ability to see why this is funny, which we may not have in that moment because we're stuck in this deterministic view. So determinism is just sort of being at the effect, and this is being at the cause. So if we can just remember to do that in the moment, stay a little bit neutral, and be like, okay, this thing's happening, breathe, how can I react to it? Take a little bit of a step back and allow yourself to experience what it is. Allow yourself to process it and think about it as well, And then it's so much easier to actually make a choice that is going to have a profound impact on the situation, as opposed to being completely out of control and out of balance and reacting to whatever it is. I can't tell you how many times this has saved my ass, whether it's been talking professionally with someone who didn't get back to me as soon as I thought they should have, or in dating, or in any kind of interaction with a family member where we're trying to communicate about something that was very difficult. This is just allowing yourself the distance in that principle of mental gender, the experiencer and the observer, right? Like that observer rising up into that observer awareness, seeing things a little bit more clearly for what they are, with the bird's eye view, and relaxing into it. Now obviously you don't have free choice over everything, but you have free choice over how you react and what that next circumstance is. So yeah, certain things are determined, but you also have the ability to choose certain things. So they're both true, the law of paradox, and how to use more energy and will to your ability is to use it from a leverage standpoint. So from an observer's perspective. And that's going to give you the best option and help guide you along the flow of alternates in the best manner possible. As far as I'm concerned, that's I think generally a good place to start. See what works for you, right? All right, so I do have this Kabbalion on my webpage now. It's pretty cool. I got the actual printed copy, and it's pretty cool. I did all right. Thoth hasn't struck me down dead yet, so praise the Lord. And keep on marching out there. Y'all are amazing. Thank you so much for checking out this episode. If it's helpful, share it and hit me up. I'm on the Telegram. We got a channel over there. And I'll have a new podcast out this next Tuesday with the great Joe Roop. So tune in live for that. Peace out.